Right shit. Right shit. I need headphones. And blankie. Chat. Let's vibe out. Let's vibe out, little twin.
If I've learned anything in my 57 years on this planet, it's to make sure that I never interact with people who share the same interests as me, ever. I started life day one on hard mode, because I was born as a Sonic fan, which as we all know is on the Mount Rushmore of dog shit fan bases. Like many 2000s kids with absent parents, Sonic was literally my entire personality for like a solid third of my entire life. Like, you bet your ass that I used to unironically run with my arms behind my back, so every PE class was a free cringe compilation for the rest of my entire cohort. But while I'm used to the Sonic fan base,
I used to do that shit too, but because of Naruto.
Your average Spider-Man fan, it's not the people that don't like Sonic that you have to worry about here. It's the ones that like him maybe a little too much. Like, you know, the people that pepper spray random GameStop employees and send Sega hostage execution photos of their plushies, or because they made Sonic's arms blue one time. And the fact that you can Google literally any name with the Hedgehog and get your own private army of shitty DeviantArt recolors. And as a kid who just wanted to engage in lighthearted discussion about which Sonic character was the biggest baddie in the trenches of Amino, every single time I just wanted to Google, like, I don't know, Amy or Knuckles, I had to mentally censor like half the search results to shield myself from all of the swollen bellies and pregnant toilet fan art, because Sonic fans are some of the most creative and talented people on the entire planet, and they use that power to make so much goddamn porn. And after a while, having a fan base this unhinged literally tanked the reputation of the entire series for years, to a point where it took like $1 billion at the box office for it to like now be safe to publicly admit you like Sonic again. But like, this kind of shit makes a genuine impact on how much people want to engage with things. Like, I don't know what the fuck Homestuck is, but like, after all the shit I've heard about its deranged fan base, I don't want to go near this shit. But you know, it took getting older and venturing outside the confines of the Sonic Google Plus pages to realize that maybe it wasn't that bad being exposed to fetish art of Sonic's toes on a daily basis when you've got anime fans who have bi-weekly meetups over which high school student they're more attracted to, or the Star Wars fandom whose scheduled activities include competitive racism and bullying actors off of social media. If you were just going off of like Twitter and YouTube, Star Wars fans would come off as the most perpetually pissed off collection of people on the entire planet. And now, because you got Disney like milking the shit out of the brand and dropping a new Disney Plus show every week, the rest of the internet has to hear on a daily basis about how much these guys hate women and any person of color, and also this guy doing a spin in the Boba Fett show. Which is funny because the creator George Lucas has publicly stated many times that he made them as movies for 12-year-olds. I'm not even like making fun of anyone, he like literally said that.
You know, it's hard for people to realize, and I'm not supposed to say this, and I wasn't supposed to say it then, but, you know, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
And look, I don't have to sit here and tell you that not everyone is like this, and there's good people at every fan base, okay? You know that, I know that, George probably doesn't know that, but I went to the Revenge of the Sith screening last week and was prepared for a Minecraft movie experience where I'd have to inhale the stench of the one collective shower of the entire audience. But no, it was fine. People were actually super respectful, except for my friend who kept calling General Grievous General Chungus. But when you think of fan bases like these, you're not thinking of the normal people. You're thinking of the person who bathed in a bath full of Sharpie to try and bleach their skin for a cosplay. Seriously, what the fuck is Homestuck about, man? I'm sure there's a ton of super creative and passionate Star Wars fans out there somewhere, but I never get to hear from them because they're drowned out by all of these loud-ass hate grift channels that are angry literally all of the time and treat The Last Jedi like it was their Pearl Harbor.
Fuck this movie, eat my ass, and suck every hair off my balls.
Anyway, you can't talk about toxic fandoms without bringing up music fans, which I'm only going to get into really quickly because I just feel like I don't have enough death threats in my Twitter DMs right now. It's really easy to point and laugh at people who have like celebrity obsession when it's not something you've experienced personally. Like, I'm never gonna understand why people were losing their shit over the Beatles in the 60s, and then again in 2010 with a slightly hotter version of the Beatles. Like, sure, I wish Markiplier was my friend, but you're never gonna catch me waiting like 12 days in line for the privilege of blowing like $1,000 on a ticket to a concert I can't even hear because everyone is screaming the entire goddamn time. But I can't imagine how fucking terrifying it must be being a celebrity with a fan base like this, where you're a constant risk of people yoinking your hair and amassing like an extensive archive of pictures of your toes. But there's two things in life that genuinely scare the shit out of me, and that's kidney stones and Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Swifties, or their scientific terms, fucking psychopaths, is a fan base whose activities include perpetually crying and communally drinking the blood of her 27 exes. And like, I like Taylor Swift, okay? Like, it's not my favorite music in the world, but like, I got no beef with her personally, okay? And it's not them like forming a ritualistic summoning circle at the bottom of the cinema at the Eras tour concert that's the problem, okay? Because that shit's funny as hell. It's the fact that they can be as dedicated to draining their life savings on expensive ass merch as they are hunting down anyone that so much as makes a joke about their Lord and Savior. Because when animation YouTuber Meat Canyon made a Taylor Swift video last year, they reacted as any normal people would by sending him actual witch curses on Twitter. Because that's like a completely normal thing to do, which is part of what they call Tay Voodoo, which is an actual thing, apparently, by the way, where some of her most obsessed fans like to pretend that anyone who wrongs her ends up with like this Taylor Swift induced karma. It's all a part of like some cosmic plan, as if she's like fucking Palpatine or some shit. So if my mutilated corpse washes up on a beach after this video, it wasn't the Sonic fans that did it, alright? I'm just saying. Here's an article about someone who got sent death threats, was doxxed, and then was accused of being a Minecraft YouTuber after he dared to criticize Taylor's Eras tour like one time, dude. Like, these people scared the shit out of me. I think Taylor Swift fans would actually kill a person. Imagine like mid-concert, she just singled someone out and went like, do it. I think they would. I think they fucking eat that guy.
Probably
and
would.
I don't even want to bring up like K-pop fans, okay? I would feel safer in a room with fucking John Wayne Gacy than a 16 to 25-year-old who likes BTS. But honestly, like, these guys are pretty easy to ignore as long as you just avoid mentioning the exalted one. Unlike sports fans, which I've had to put up with against my will for my entire life because I live in Australia and half of every conversation I've ever had is being asked what team I barrack for before they start verbally and physically abusing the nearest TV and or umpire. But again, I don't have a problem if F1 fans want to drop like most people's quarterly rent to watch cars go around in a circle. That's what you're into, dude. The hell yeah, okay? I love that. But for some reason, there is a direct connection between how cute and wholesome a show is and how much you should never talk to anyone that watches it. Like The Loud House, a show on Nickelodeon about a kid and his massive family of underage sisters and parents who need to get a hobby. The single longest piece of text in human history is a 16 million word long Loud House fanfic written by a 30-year-old man role-playing his preteen self-insert Loud House OC, which is not even that bad if you saw some of the shit that they make fan art of.
Oh
Which
my
is
god,
one of the
I don't
many
want to see
reasons
this.
why the Loud House fandom has a reputation for having a higher concentration of predators than the entirety of Epstein Island. Hazbin Hotel has only been around for a few years, and its fan base has already peaked when a YouTuber spent $50,000 of his own money commissioning a 3-minute-long Gooner AMV of his self-insert character being seduced by Charlie. There's a Russian cult based on the mouse from Chip and Dale, okay? Every fan base has that one incident that we just do not talk about. And like, most of these are obscure enough to stay within the fandom they came from, so you just have all this crazy shit going on that you'd like never know about if you're not like a chronically online Tumblr user. Like, bronies have been copying shit for decades for being a larger portion of the My Little Pony fan base and the 6-year-old girls is meant
His
to be
fit
selling
tough though. His fit is tough though. That fit is tough.
toys to. And like, I'm sure most of them are absolutely lovely people, but all it took was one guy to ruin everything to Kmart, because now every time I see a jar, you got me acting like that one dude in Akira. But I'm sure no one's surprised that most of these insane ass fan bases come from the scariest site on the internet that isn't 4chan, Tumblr. I've never used Tumblr in my entire life, but the impression I've gotten from it over the years is that it's basically like digital Arkham Asylum for violently horny high school girls who will sexualize literally anything in a suit or top hat that looks like it breathes. They made an entire fandom around the Onceler, you know, the guy from the fucking Illumination Lorax movie, but then eventually birthed a phenomenon known as the Tumblr sexy man. Specific on what makes one eligible for such a prestigious honor. Like, generally their only requirements is to either be dripped the fuck out and
Yo, but their fits are tough.
probably canonically responsible for the deaths of thousands
Except for this one. I don't know what the fuck Loki got going on here. This is okay too. It's kind of overdoing the purple.
people. Like Sans, Undertale, Alistair from Hazbin Hotel,
Bro.
and Waluigi, apparently. And they held a tournament a few years back to decide the ultimate Tumblr sexy man, with the finals being between Sans Undertale and Reagan from Mob Psycho 100.
No.
In a battle so powerful that it definitely wasn't a coincidence that the Queen of England died immediately after later that day. But Tumblr is also the birthplace of a greater threat to humanity than disease or climate change: shippers. People whose sole purpose on this earth is dedicated to arguing over
Wattpad.
fictional characters
Ew.
banging each other. And I mean, like, I kind of get it, because like half the appeal of shit like Twilight and the Hunger Games is which pair you were behind. You know, of course mine was Katniss and Peter, because their ship name is Penis, and that's hilarious. But you think of a pairing of any fictional characters, and I guarantee you that they have their own army of affection-starved fans. Like, there's a fake My Hero Academia video of Deku kissing Bakugo that has 28 million views, and I live in constant fear that the entirety of Australia is outnumbered by Baku Deku shippers. Just to clarify, right? Shipping on its own is not a problem,
Not the
okay? I love
Baku
seeing hot
Deku
men
ship.
making out with each other as much as the next guy, okay? But there are people who are willing to lay down their goddamn lives to verbally fight to the death for their favorite yaoi pairing. Voltron Legendary Defender had its
What is
entire
this?
reputation hijacked by its insane shipper fan base who spent like more time threatening the lives of the VAs and their families than actually watching the show. There was a time when they made the mistake of letting some of the fans leave their houses for the first time for a visit to the production studio, where someone accidentally leaked a bunch of photos of unreleased production material, and then, you know, when the studio asked very nicely for people to take them down because it was getting them into a shit ton of legal trouble, their replies were flooded by shippers trying to blackmail them into making their ship canon. I mean, apparently it was mainly like one guy, but I just love the idea that they think the animation team are the people that write the fucking show. There's this urban legend about someone who put like glass into cupcakes and gave it to the crew, and you know, while there's no proof that that actually happened, the fact that so many people think it's true tells you that these guys need to stop talking about fucking sheath implants and need to start talking to a psychiatrist. But you know what? It could be worse, okay? At least they're not real people, alright? That'd be way too far. Larrys, our shipping conspiracy theorists who believe that former One Direction bandmates Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson had or are still having a long-term and secret romantic relationship, says Wikipedia on their actual real-life page about One Direction shippers that's longer than their fucking coverage of both world wars. I grew up during a time when like a solid 80% of the Markiplier fan base was only there to ship him with his actual real-life friend Jacksepticeye. Like, imagine how weird it would be being friends with someone knowing that like a bunch of 13-year-olds on the internet keep drawing you raw-dogging the shit out of each other. And, you know, you think the obvious answer as to why this happens is kids, right? Because just like the seat behind me when I'm already having the worst flight of my life, kids just find a way to show up everywhere you don't want them to. Because every single day of my life, I'm regularly at risk of being exposed to a minor's opinion online. Because anytime I see a tweet that pisses me off, I don't even have to look to know that it's from someone with a number below 20 in their bio. I remember a while back while I was looking shit up for a video, I accidentally found out that there was a Slender Man fandom on Tumblr. You know, that old-ass creepypasta from like 2012 with the pages and PewDiePie and shit, who made up like a whole Slender Man family filled with quirky characters like Trender Man, Splendor Man, and Sexual Offender Man, whose sole character trait is a word that I cannot say on YouTube, as if that's like some quirky, cute thing to make a character out of. It was cooked getting to watch in real time last year as the creator of the amazing Digital Circus realized that they'd cursed the internet with another uncontrollably horny fan base. I heard a story about like an Undertale fan who put actual needles in cookies that they then gave to a fan artist, all because they were drawing a ship they didn't like. That is like actual attempted murder over a fictional game with a talking skeleton who's named after a font. So no, I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that there's unironically an adult Thomas the Tank Engine fandom, okay? You know, people like to bully Disney adults for having actual joy and whimsy in their lives. And like, if you want to call that cringe, go ahead, okay? But you know what else is cringe? Paying taxes, okay? Being an adult fucking sucks, and if cartoons for 8-year-old children gives you some brief joy in this horrible world, then go for it, king. And I'm not saying I'm any better, okay? I wrote a Transformers and My Little Pony fanfiction once.
What?
Batman shouldn't be able to get that info out of me, but I'm telling you anyway. Because like any socially inept 14-year-old, I have literal terabytes of Bionicle fanfiction on my computer that I will be burning with creating for the remainder of my adult life. My friend and I co-wrote a Dragon Ball Z and Transformers fic that was 17 pages long. It was a spin-off of a then also ongoing separate DBZ and Transformers fics that were about 80 times longer than that. I have a file on my laptop called 5 Nights at Equestria that I'm too afraid to open, okay? I'm taking that one to my grave. We've all been like this at some point, okay? Whether it's typing up a Shadow X Shrek Lemon fanfiction or making FNAF plush toy videos, as long as you're not literally trying to kill people or threaten their lives because two men didn't tongue fuck each other in a kid's show, I think what we've learned here today is that at least you're not a sports fan. I'm not going to be checking my DMs for the next few weeks. Good night, chat.
Fire vid.